today. I know, it's been killing me lately. I wish I could just go back to simpler times. Hey class, before you go, now your assignment over break is to go back in time and explore the early years of developing United States. Analyze the effects of effective uses of rhetoric that widely contributed to our country's success and how uses of such powerful rhetoric continue to affect us today. Report back to me on Monday. Have a good week. Hey, Mom. Yes, 1 second. Hi, honey. Any homework this weekend? I'm going away this weekend. Far, far away. For school, of course. Bye, hon. Kids these days, what are we gonna do with them?
How can I help you there, kid?
Sir, I'd just like to use your time machine, if you'll let me.
Let you? Be my guest and hop right in. Where to, little lady?
The year 1723, please.
Oh, you got it. There you go. I hope that worked.
Hey there, pal. I hope you'll join us today to hear Ben Franklin read the autobiography. Oh, yeah, it's going to be phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Ben Franklin. I'll be making my autobiography in just a few short minutes. Everyone sit tight. Thank you. It was about the time that I conceived the bold and arduous project of arriving at moral perfection. Live without committing any fault at any time. I would concur all that either natural inclination, custom, or company might lead me into. As I knew or thought, I knew what was right and what was wrong. I concluded, at length, that the more speculative conviction that it was our interest to be completely virtuous was not significant enough to prevent our slipping, and that the contrary habits must be broken, the good ones acquired and established, before we can have any dependence on a steady, uniform rectitude of conduct. I proposed to myself to live in accordance under 13 virtues. These virtues being temperance, silence, order, resolution, frugality, industry, sincerity, justice, moderation, cleanliness, tranquility, chastity, and humility. My intention being to acquire that the habitude of all of these virtues, mastering one at a time. I was surprised to find myself so much fuller of faults than I had imagined, but I had the satisfaction of watching them diminish. I never arrived at the perfection I had been so ambitious of obtaining, yet I was a better and happier man than I otherwise would have been. I hope, therefore, that some of my descendants may follow the example and reap the benefits. Thank you.
Yo, despite the cold weather, dude, that was some pretty gnarly performance by Benny Frank. Like, that was phenomenal.
I cannot disagree.
Ooh, that man's self-discipline is what brought him such success. His honesty it's so pure in all his writings, especially that one. He knows how to relate to each and every person. Don't you agree?
I do. In my time, I've never been exposed to such rhetoric. Absolutely, he was subtle in persuading his audiences to live by his 13 virtues. By recognizing his own faults, he appealed certainly to our emotions, as we all have held down by our own flaws. But as Franklin said himself, he was a better man without having to achieve perfection. It is because of these virtues that we understand what it means to be respectable in society.
Yes.
Where to next, little lady?
The year 1776, please, to see Thomas Paine.
Bad idea, but okay. You're good. Shackle.
Wow, the year 1776.
I know, chaos. What do you think? Find peace or fight for independence?
We must fight for our independence, can't you see?
But I've stayed loyal to British for so long. Tell me, what would be the point of that if I turn my back now on it?
These are times that try men's souls. The summer solider and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from the service of this country. But he that stands it now deserves the love and thanks of men and women. Tyranny, like hell, is not easily conquered. Yet, we have the consolation with us that the harder the conflict, the more glorious the triumph. Britain, with an army to enforce her tyranny, has declared that she has a right not only to tax, but to bind us all in cases whatsoever. But sir, you don't see. Am I to suffer? Am I? What signifies to it to me? Whether it who does it? Is it king or a common man, my countrymen, or not my countrymen? Whether it is an individual or army of them, there are cases which cannot overdone by language, and this is one of them. This is one of them. There are persons such as you who do not see the full extent of the evil. But
Where to now? Cause you're still going.
Same year to John Abigail Adams, please.
Let me see if I can John. You're good. Okay, who'd have thought?
John, I long to hear that you have declared independency, and by the way, in a new code of laws which I supposed will be necessary for you to make, I desire you would remember the ladies, and be more generous and favorable to them than your ancestors. Do not put such an unlimited power into the hand of husbands. Remember then all men would be tyrants if they could. If peculiar care and attention is not paid to the ladies, we are determined to ferment a rebellion and not hold ourselves bound by any laws in which we have no voice or representation.
Abigail, as to Declaration of Independency, be patient. We know better than to repeal our masculine systems. Although they are in full force, you know they are no more than just a theory. We dare not exert our power in full latitude. I am sure every good politician would fight against despotism empire, monarchy, aristocracy, oligarchy, and ochlocracy.
Oh, a letter from John. Oh, John, how do you continue to be both a politician and a loving husband to a wife committed to the cause of independence? I do not know. I knew that by reminding you that the treatment of women would affect your own wife, that you would be persuaded to protect us because of your love for me. Logically, I'm reminded by you that no politician who aspires to achieve success would place all the power in the hands of a man. Oh, John, you have comforted me by assuring my safety and rights will be protected. And with this in mind, the rights and safety of women will be protected in years to come.
Where would you like to go now?
To the signing of the Declaration of Independence, please.
Oh, that sounds like a blast. There you go.
Thank you.
This here begins our independence. We are no longer under the unfair rulings of the kings of Great Britain. As this document exposes, the history of the present King of Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolutely tyranny above the states. He has refused assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. He has erected multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substances. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, burned our towns, and has destroyed the lives of our people.
Now, Mr. Jefferson, as we sign this, his control over us is non-existent.
This is it.
It's done.
It's over.
Jefferson and the other drafters of this document evidently desired to bring attention to the unforgivable acts of the King of Britain. The repetition of he, followed by an example of the king's mistreatment, emphasized the document's purpose. Freeing the states of British control, including amongst these examples, will become part of the amendments that are still in use today. Including quartering troops and depriving the convicting to their right of trial by jury, this document was written by Jefferson along with other drafters with true craftsmanship.
Oh, I should be getting paid for this. Where do you want to go now?
1777, please, to see Ben Franklin.
Jeez, goodness. You're good. Oh, don't come back.
Well, how do we run our government?
We are not united. The states think they can do their own thing, and nothing is working.
What?
Gentlemen, please stop. We have just signed a treaty with England, and the war is over. Gentlemen, I will be representing Pennsylvania at the National Convention along with 12 other delegates from each state. Mr. President,
Yeah.
I confess I do not entirely approve of the Constitution at present, but sir, that is not to say I will never approve. I think general government is necessary for us. From such an assembly of joint men with the advantage of their wisdom, can such perfection be expected? This approaching system near astonishes me, as it will astonish our enemies who are waiting to hear that our states are on the point of separation. Much of the strength and efficiency of any government is procuring and securing happiness to the people depends on opinion and the wisdom of integrity of its governors.
Franklin, you're a persuasive diplomat, no doubt, and widely respected. That is why Congress sent you to France to enlist aid for the American Revolution, which brought about a breakthrough that is perhaps the reason we stand here today, debating how to run our country. You have made logical points in discussing the failures and success of certain governments, and for that I have insight of common flaws we must avoid. You acknowledged my fears that countries are awaiting our fall, and for that I will work harder to avoid any such event.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Jefferson, a letter from Banneker.
Bring that here and let me read that.
Okay.
Let's see. Sir, I hope you may safely admit, in consequence of that report which hath reached me, that you are a man far less inflexible in sentiments of this nature than many others. That you are measurably friendly and well disposed towards us, and that you are willing and ready to lend your aid and assistance to our relief from those many distresses and numerous calamities to which we are reduced. Now, sir, if this is founded in truth, I apprehend you will embrace every opportunity to eradicate that train of absurd and false ideas and opinions which so generally prevails with respect to us, and that your sentiments are concurrent with mine, which are that one universal Father hath given us to all, and that he hath not only made us all of one flesh, but that he hath also, without partiality, afforded us all the same sensations and endowed us all with the same faculties, and that, however variable may be in society and religion, however diversified in situation or color, we are all the same family and stand in the same relation to him. Sir, suffer me to recall to your mind that time in which the arms of tyranny and the British crown were exerted with every powerful effort in order to reduce you to a state of servitude. Look back, I entreat you, on the variety of dangers to which you were exposed. Reflect on that time in which every human aid appeared to be unavailable, and in which even hope and fortitude wore the aspect of inability to the conflict, and you cannot but be led to a serious and grateful sense of miraculous and providential preservation. You cannot but acknowledge that the present freedom and tranquility in which you have mercifully received, and that it is the peculiar blessing of heaven. This, sir, was a time when you clearly saw into the injustice of a state of slavery, and in which you had just apprehensions of the horror of its condition. It was now that your adherents, therefore, was so excited that you publicly held it forth, this true and invaluable doctrine, which is worthy to be recorded and remembered in all succeeding ages. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Here was a time in which your tender feelings for yourselves had engaged you thus to declare. You were then impressed with proper ideas of the great violation of liberty and the free possession of those blessings to which you were entitled by nature. But, sir, how pitiable it is to reflect that although you were so fully convinced of the benevolence of Father of mankind, and of his equal and impartial distribution of these rights and privileges, which he hath conferred upon them, that you should at the same time counteract his mercies in detaining by fraud and violence so numerous a part of my brethren, under groaning captivity and cruel oppression, that you should at the same time be found guilty of that criminal act which you professly detested in others, with respect to yourselves. Interesting.
Sir? May I ask? What is wrong with you? What is wrong?
Read this, and your confusion will be no longer.
Such powerful words.
That they are. I would expect nothing less from Banneker, the son of a former slave. His compliments for me were so appealing to my authorities, and his arguments so well thought out.
Yes.
Banneker compared the helplessness of slaves to the familiar helplessness felt by America under the British rule. By doing this, I cannot help but be persuaded to feel sympathy for the slaves.
Wow.
And feel empowered to make a change. Banneker also included the rights granted to all mankind by the Father. I cannot help but think that Banneker is suggesting that allowing slavery to exist is a violation of the Father's rules. And no human rules are more powerful than the Father, his own.
Wow. Banneker certainly has given you a lot to consider, and that I hope you will. Wow. I still can't get over that, the complexity.
Really came out of my way.
Such powerful words he has.
And now where would you like to go?
Take me home to 2016.
And if I say no, I'm just playing.
Okay, students, tell me what you learned this weekend. How about you, Lauren?
Well, I personally took the time to witness and analyze several events that occurred during the formation of our country. And I realized that people such as Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Banneker, Abigail and John Adams, and Thomas Paine used rhetoric to bring about essential changes to our country. Had it not been for their logical, emotional, and credible appeals, I can't honestly say that America would be so successful. These public figures were so powerful in their speeches, as they established who they were and what they were fighting for. And in doing so, they were able to convince others to join them or listen to them. It is because of these people that we are able to live in the independent United States of America, where everyone has equal freedom, equal rights, no matter your gender, your race, or your religion. and where we are encouraged to become the most successful versions of ourselves. I'm incredibly proud to be an American living in a country formed so passionately.
Wow, Lauren, that was great. So how did these documents help us to understand the formation of our government? Caden?
Well, I felt the speech or letter built off each other or had a connection. Benjamin Franklin's autobiography focused on the way people should act in order to be successful, where the Declaration of Independence really focused on the specifics and made clear what the government would and would not be in control of.
Harry?
A man such as Thomas Paine sticks out to me because of his passion. He clearly showed he would stop at nothing for independence, and his urging of people to join him in his fight formed an army. Together, they exposed the cruel treatment of the British rule and increased the nationalism amongst Americans to such a high level that their independence was won.
Great conclusions, class. Now for my final question, I want you to think on.
Imagine.
World where rhetoric
Did not exist.
So Franklin couldn't persuade anybody to live by his 13 virtues?
And Abigail could not appeal to John to consider woman's well-being?
And Thomas Paine couldn't convince anyone to join him to fight the revolution?
That would mean Banneker could never attempt to end slavery. What?
Yes.
And Thomas Jefferson would have no way to support his arguments in forming the country?
Abigail, as to the
As I knew or thought I did, that's the wrong one. Gentlemen, please. The war is over and we've signed a treaty with,
Is this like a teacher pose?
crackers.
Biendo, shut up!
And I would worry with that. Yeah, there you go. That would.
Like 2 seconds in.
That's a blooper.
oligarchy and ochlocracy. Ochlocracy. Ochlocracy? No,
Success would place all power in the hands of a man.
Kaden!
What? I'm doing a project and you ruined a scene, God bless you.